people, you know what I'm saying, a little bit about yourself, you know what I'm saying, you know, what inspired you to do music, and also what inspired you to teach music.
Okay. Well, so let's get this confusion out of the way. A lot of people who are probably watching and know me, they either know me by Ebony or they know me by Rain. My full name, for disclosure, is Ebony Rain Eatmon. I did a lot of business through my middle name, and then a lot of people that are cool with know me by my first name, but it's all good. Whatever you want to call me, so long as it's my birth name, we good.
Yeah, I gotta call you Rain.
There you go. Or Ebony, it's fine. It's good. Hey, that works. But yeah, I've been doing piano lessons. I've had piano lessons since I was 8 years old, so it's going on 19 years since I've been training in piano. Still training. Anybody who is a teacher recognizes that you still need to learn even though you're in a teaching position. So I'm always trying to figure out how to better my craft. What really inspired me to teach and start the company Musically Inclined was that I saw that my mother and my grandfather and like my entire family poured and sacrificed so much just to get me exposure outside of my neighborhood. And what I didn't like was that they would have to go to Midtown or to the South Side or completely places like 45 minutes to an hour away from where we lived in Acres Home. And I grew up recognizing that, yes, I was blessed, but there's no reason for the kids that are in the neighborhood now not to get that same exposure. So really, I started Musically Inclined to make sure that even if I do provide lessons throughout the city of Houston, my neighborhood gets it too. So it's really about just musical exposure, period. So that's really the driving force behind Musically Inclined.
Man, that's dope. That's dope, bro. We were talking about a story before we got started, man. Big shout out to my moms, man, because she was big on, you know what I'm saying, music, and you know, she had us a piano.
Yeah.
And you know, we were, you know, probably like 6-7 years old. My mom used to pay for a guy to give us piano lessons.
Yeah.
And you know, that's, you know, it's not many things in life that I regret. But, you know, that's one of the things that I do regret, not sticking with playing the piano. And more so, not necessarily playing the piano, but more so reading music.
Right.
Because like, even when I joined the band later on, I was more so like that Nick Cannon and drum line. Like if I hear it, I can play it. Right. When I'm with the band and everything, I can understand my part and hear know the part, you know what I'm saying? But that's not really reading music, you know what I'm saying?
But in the grander scheme of things, and that's one of the things I really wanted to kind of dismiss, because when I was taking piano lessons, one of the biggest taboos was you have to know how to read music. You can't just hear music and play it. You can't do that. Why not? If I'm still able to produce music, if I hear a melody in my head and I'm not really capable of writing it, yes, it is good to write, but don't try to diminish your gift because you can't just read music. Just because you don't read music, it doesn't disqualify you to call yourself a musician or anything else. There's some cats out here that play so much better than me, but it's because they're not bound by the rules of, oh, well, I gotta read music, or oh, I gotta adhere to the German sixth chord and the transitions and things of that nature. They're just playing from what they hear in their mind. So
right. Most definitely, yeah. And you know, my other thing was just growing up. You know, I'm from the South Side, I'm Clark, and you know, it wasn't a cool thing to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, in order to do piano, I would have to come from outside of the block, open and everything like that. Yeah. And my boy's like, "You going to piano?" Like, and but you know what I'm saying? It just kind of shows the lack of exposure within the community, because 10, 15 years down the line, all my homies want to be rappers, and I'm the engineer in the hood that got recording everybody doing music. Right.
And like that's one of the that's another thing that I really want to make sure we get out of our heads, is like, learning piano is cool, because the same cat who learned how to play piano now can learn how to use a sampling machine later and get you the Beethoven track to bump in the back to whatever you're trying to rap to. It works. It all ties in together. So by hopefully promoting exposure to not just music, but the fine arts in general, we can make it common to where the 8-year-old boy doesn't get played by his friends because he's playing piano. They're going to be like, oh, shoot, you playing piano? I want to play too. Because I know if I play piano, there's a likelihood that I can, make this into a career as a sound engineer or playing for another rap artist or just simply liking it just to play for myself, make it more common in our neighborhood.
How many, we're going to go to a break real quick, but how many kids do you have within your program that you?
Currently within my program, we have about 6. But overall, I can safely say I've taught well over 100 kids over the time span that Musically Inclined has been running. And that's with private lessons as well as group classes and summer programs and things of that nature. So I've touched everywhere from Sugarland to Tomball and everything in between.
Okay, piece of that. I'm finna go ahead and get into our first break, man. We finna get into a track by my boy TK. Shout out to TK, you know what I'm saying? He got a new track, man. He actually got a video out for it, and it's called Energy. And I gotta put my dragon energy by it. You know what I'm saying? But after the break, come back. We got some more questions for Sister Rain. We also gonna talk about this Garden City Music Festival that's coming up on September 29th. Yes. Sister Joy, cue it up for us. Yeah.
Trying to knock me out the way, off my path, but I understand the Lord is with me. See them haters, if they could, they'll come and get me. Crooked cops wanna lock me up, but that's okay, cause I know that the Holy Spirit gon' show me the way to stay out of trouble. I'm just trying to stay humble. I'm in the concrete jungle every day. I live the struggle. I see brothers raising their kids all alone. These brothers out here catching the bus. We all in the battle zone. Why they take my idea from me? They don't wanna see me ride in the hood. That's okay. I'll be walking still shining in the spirit. Faith works and I let them know it. A poor righteous poet with the love of God and I show it. That's why I get it back everywhere I go. I'm giving everything I got until I'm gone. I give the people energy. Perhaps it was a waste of time. Perhaps I lacked the faith, or maybe it was fate. A season to create a masterpiece for the entire world to embrace. Never will forget the night that I stepped outside. Downtown H-Town, I ain't have a ride. It was open mic and I wanted to recite. Share the reflections of my mind, interpretations of this life. Stay connected to the people, force them to hear my voice. Alternate their thinking, show them they had a choice. On the underground hustle, I got a lot to prove. Never broke me down, a few times I got booed, but I always been that dude, bringing spiritual food, connected to the creator, which is keeping me in tune with the calling on my life, which is keeping me consumed with the passion and the power to do the things I do. I give you energy.
This would be good. I'm just thinking, this is going to be good. Because I'm going to be hearing it after the night.
You can maybe speak down.
But the policy has to allow those bad cops.
TK, you see out there putting in work, baby.
The bad cops are protected by the policy. So we want to change the policy that allows police to kill black and brown people that will.
And when you say policy, does that mean in a situation where they may be unarmed to de-escalate using tasers
or even communication? I mean, that should be some type of training, but we know how to de-escalate the situation is the communication. I have children that I work with, and I know how to de-escalate the situation. And that's not to say that our officers do not face extreme circumstances, but we also feel like sometimes the officers escalate those circumstances. And so tonight we're going to have a town hall meeting with the No More Bloodshed movement to discuss police and civilian interaction, because we're not here to hate on the police. That's not what we're here for. What we want is policy that is safe and fair for both the police and the civilians. See, I was able to maneuver these H-town streets where police banging, creep like Pyrus and who was doing. Got out the hood because I was trying to do something good. Devastating just like you.
I like this song. Everybody likes it. He got this circulating at the bridge.
Like you said, I wasn't hearing the song, I wasn't hearing it before. And then I listened to it.
This is some of the only hip hop still allowed in the bridge. What you're hearing in the background is somebody's dragon energy.
The remix. I'll let you, TK. You get on that remix.
My life, my music. Shout out. And there's also a shout out to Lori Dansby, who is the one singing on this, or Laddie Dansby. Shout out. Sunnyside D.
Hey, man, it's what TK with that energy.
Yes, that was
shout out to my brother, man. My brother not only made dope music, but he be out there in the community putting in work, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all our freedom fighters that's out there putting it down for the people, man. We want to make sure that y'all checking us out on our website, weareA1.com. Go there, subscribe, give us your email. We'll definitely make sure that we keep you in tune with everything that we have going on in the community, with different professionals, with different artists. So we got a lot that we're working on. And got Sister Ebony in the building, musically inclined. She's here, talking about her company and also letting us know about this wonderful event that they got going on September 29th at the Lincoln Park Community Center. Yes. Make sure that y'all get out there and support it. It's going to be from 1 p.m. to 4. We're going to get into that a little bit later. But, we were talking about, the children you were working with and everything like that. Do you see like a connection between the children that come through the music program and any type of improvement in their grades at school?
Yes, absolutely.
Talk about that, because I've seen studies about, a connection.
Yeah, so studies are one thing, but when you're a teacher and you're actually on the front lines, you do see the proof. The only thing is that for the way my mom calls it, the microwave generation, it's not as fast as people would want it to be. But I've had testimonials from my own parents who say, Miss Rain, thank you so much for whatever you're doing, because my boys have learned discipline just from sitting at a piano for 30 minutes or just from sitting at a piano for an hour. They can actually focus better and they can actually sit longer periods of time and get the work that they need, and they're learning problem solving skills, and they're allowing themselves to see what they're capable of doing. Because one of the things I try to pride myself on doing is making sure I don't feed you the problems. That was one of the things I experienced when I was being taught at a younger age. They would just, if they saw I couldn't get it, they would just give me the answer. So what I try to do, I try to make you use everything that we have discussed to say, okay, you can find the problem. You just have to utilize the tools I've given you on hand. And because I've used those problem-solving skills in the classroom, they carry it over into their classwork. And so, like I said, I have parents coming to me saying, oh, they know how to do their work now.
Mm.
They're sitting longer. They're behaving better. They're actually able to focus more. So it is proof in the pudding with these lessons. It really is.
Piece of that. There's a lot of people that want to do music, want to
Yeah.
make songs and everything else like that. What is the process like for a songwriter? You know what I'm saying? To come up with something creative, because essentially you're coming up with something out of nothing.
Right. Well, for every songwriter out there, the first thing I would tell you is whatever you're playing, whatever you're making, record it. Even if it sounds low key, even if it doesn't sound to your status, what you're expecting it to sound like, still record it, still put it on paper, still do something with that, because that bit that you hear can be improved upon. That bit can actually be transformed into something more. But if you're constantly saying, nah, that sounds like trash, nah, that don't sound like it should be in this, no, keep doing it. The next thing is to not force anything. Like, you cannot. Music is one of those things where you simply cannot force a product. If it's not naturally there, you're going to come up with something that is not genuine. And we all can tell when music is genuine and when music is just, oh, I'm following a trend.
Right.
You don't want trendsetter music. You don't want trend following music. You want trendsetter music. And you can't be a trendsetter if you're trying to follow everybody else. So, aside from that, collaborate. Where you're lacking in, find somebody who is working with you. Don't be intimidated by those who are in the game with you. Link up with those people. I promise you, you're better off doing it in a group rather than trying to figure it out by yourself. If you have a clique behind you that's actually really ready to work with you and grow an empire with you, then you're good. Absolutely. But if you realize you're lacking in a department, ask for help. Right. You have the words, but you can't make a beat. Go ask a beat maker for a beat. You have the beats, but you can't make a word. Link up with somebody. Link up with some of these poets out here. Shout out to Oya Remy. Hey, love.
Shout out.
Yes. But yeah, just record everything, write everything, link up if you are missing out, and just do it. Don't try to overcomplicate the process. Make it genuine to who you are, and it will get polished over time. But don't just try to follow the trend. Be the trend.
Trying to tell me, man. She knows she's talking about. One thing, I used to have a studio, probably a decade back. Don't even seem like that long ago. But we used to have a studio. We used to do recording and everything like that. Shout out to my boy William Believe. He's still out there doing beats, hooking up with the artists, everything like that. We got Forever Hip Hop and everything like that. But what I want to ask is, I remember back when I first started recording music back in probably like 2002, 2003. And I heard stories at that point on how the technology had changed.
Right.
In 2003 from how people had recorded music in the 90s. When I think about how when we were kids, recording on the boombox, recording on mom church tapes and stuff like that.
Get the Walkman.
But you know what I'm saying, how people recorded in the 90s, how people recorded in the 70s. So I think about from how the technology has changed from the 2003 till now. And how I'm not going to necessarily say it's easier for people to make music, but it's less barriers to entry.
It's more accessible.
Right, it's more accessible. So, in your opinion, because I have several things kind of piggybacking on this technology.
Right.
In your opinion, in what ways has technology helped the music game, and what ways has it hurt it?
I have to control myself because I don't want to get on the soapbox. It's helped the music industry because, like I said earlier, it's made it more accessible. With everything literally being on your phone at the touch of a button, you have no excuse of not being able to produce the sound that's in your head because there's so many apps and so many programs and so many features that are literally, I mean, my goodness, GarageBand and Audio Slave, I think it's called. Those two, if you just have those two programs, you can make a whole track and produce it within a day, and it's free of charge. But honestly, if I can control myself, the way it's hurt the game is that it's given the musicians of this day and age a false sense of accomplishment when it comes to creating music.
Speak on it.
I give kudos to every live musician that is in the city of Houston, including the singers, because in order to be a live musician, you have to hone a craft and be well. In order to be well regarded, you have to hone a craft to the point where you can actually play on cue, know how to follow. There's certain different skill sets behind being a live musician. Being a recording artist, you really just need to know how to make a couple of words rhyme. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, I feel as if it's been watered down to knowing how to just make the machine work for you and not you work for the machine. So you lose a lot of the substance because it's hidden behind, oh, well, I was kind of flat on that note. Let me just go in here real quick and pitch correct it. Right. So that way it's on point. But if you keep pitch correcting it, you're going to find yourself in a point where you're too lazy to find the pitch yourself. And that takes work for all the singers out there. It's not just, oh, I can sing this note. No, it takes muscle work and muscle memory to hit certain pitches. But if you have pitch correction to do it for you, what's the point of me trying to perfect it myself?
Absolutely.
So that's my mini soapbox. And I'm gonna stop right there.
No, and I mean it's a good point because I mean I remember a point to where artists sounded the same live like they did in the studio.
Yes. I mean, shout outs to Kurt Cobain. Like he was by far one of the few artists in the alternative rock world that sounded the exact same in a live acoustic setting than he did when he was recording. But nowadays, you gotta be careful because you get the wrong cat out of the studio. You hear two totally different voices. Like, or I've seen this too. You have the artist who has the special mic, the mic that will amplify their voice and hide their flaws. And when that mic doesn't work, the show doesn't go on because they don't have their real voice to stand on. And that's a crutch, in my opinion. So it is important to hone your craft. By all means, learn the technology. I wish I was more tech savvy. I'd probably be more creative and release more stuff if I was. Shout outs to my husband, Landon Eatmon. He got that part. But by all means, learn the technology, but learn the craft as well. And that way you can be an unstoppable force rather than just kind of, oh, I'm good in this area and not so much in that one.
Right, absolutely. Well, man, you mentioned something special, which does kind of seem to be a lost art, and actually people playing real instruments.
Yes.
You know, it's very few people, you know what I'm saying, that you run into when they're doing the live shows. We still have the band and everything else like that. Shout out to Ground Level Music. They always doing their thing.
Yes.
It's just a shame. And I love them. You know, my boy Sid. Every time I see them, they're actually performing with the band, and it's like, man, just looking back in the time, and it sonically sounds different, and the energy is different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But that band versus just the person going over the tracks.
Right. So take that feeling and transfer it to an orchestra or a symphony. It's one thing to hear the Houston Symphony on a Facebook feed, if they ever let anybody do that, or a pre-recorded session, but to be in the audience and to feel the bass, because if you get close enough on the seats, you will feel those double basses through the seats, and it's an amazing feeling, and it's an amazing feat to see, rather than just kind of hearing it and letting the computer do the work for you. To actually experience it is something so magical, and it's so important to get that exposure back to the people. That's why supporting live music is a must, because you can have Lil Flavor of the Month do his thing on auto-tune, but it's nothing like hearing a real jazz singer sing her soul to you because she connects with this music on another level. There's nothing like it. So the exposure has got to come back. If nothing else, it's got to come back.
Man, peace to that. Peace to that, man. Your brother Atum Rock, man. You tuned into the all new Action 1 A1 Live, man. Got Sister Ebony Eatmon in here from Musically Inclined. You know what I'm saying? She in here doing her thing, man, tearing it up. Why do you think it? Okay, so that's first question is, why do you see less exposure to music in schools today?
Now this is actually something I studied under my child development minor while I was at TSU. One thing they were noticing in research was that the government was really pushing more programs that promoted things like, and you'll catch it once I spell it, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, STEM. So programs that favored STEM were the programs that were more favored by the government because they were looking for people in the working force to promote their, you already had it right there. So when they saw how we were the lowest in the mathematics department and lowest in numbers ranking amongst the other countries, they started pushing more for STEM programs. And at one point, I don't know if anybody realizes this, but at one point STEM used to be STEAM, where it was arts included as well. But because the government saw that we were failing in other areas, they thought that out of everything, the arts was one of the few things that could be exactly. But what they ended up seeing was that because we don't have as much recess as we used to, because we don't have any means of expressing ourselves creatively, because we don't have that freedom to create and produce things of our own volition, test scores are lower. Students are not as happy.
School shootings.
No, we're not.
That's all right. I say it. That's all right. You gotta take that. I say it. I got the dragon energy, so I say it. It's
Come on, dragon
it's facts though. It's facts.
But it is, and you're starting to see a slow resurgence and a slow fight back for the arts through programs like Houston Art Alliance and Young Audience Fine Arts programs, and my company as well. But so long as we have, this is the mini politician in me, and I'm going to leave it alone, but as so long as we have people who view the country as a product and not as a collective of human beings, we're not going to be able to provide that soul and nutrition that we need, that nourishment from the arts, because arts is a release. Arts is something that you express yourself with. We've all heard the saying, where words fail, music speaks. That's true. And it's something that is desperately needed in the culture today, because you have fewer people, you have so many people who are crying out for a means to just express themselves, but because they're not given the tools in school, they don't know how else to do it except for through violent means or through just simply acting out. So this is something that we desperately need to fight for as a collective, because if we don't give our children an opportunity to express themselves, then they're going to find a way to express themselves.
Man. Hey, I'm going, I never thought about it till we just said it, but yeah, we're going to have to have somebody look into that connection between the removal of arts and violence in schools. So
that would definitely
thought
be
about
a
it
research.
just talking about it.
You know
But
what?
we're finna go on and take a quick break. We got a track coming up, man, from Mr. Landon Eatmon, the Risen King.
Yes.
And tune into the all new Action 1, Sister Eatmon, Musically Inclined, Mr. Dragon Energy. You know what I'm saying? We're holding it down. Sister Joy, what it do?
It's worth looking into. I mean, I've never wanted to be the one to initiate that study, because I know there will be a lot of people trying to come up against it, but it is something worth looking into.
Yeah, now I'm here for the smoke. What's on Slick say? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke. Yeah, but yeah, yeah.
That's definitely something to look into. And I mean, it's just simply, think about it this way. The common person who doesn't have anything to kind of release themselves from the everyday stresses of life, you find a way to do it. That's how you have people who are, I don't know, you have people who are just trying to find the means to release themselves, but they do it through the wrong and the negative means, like alcoholism, getting into drugs and things of that nature. But if they had a way to use that negative energy in a positive way, they might be able to save themselves from that. And you hear some of these reform stories of people who say, oh, I did use the drugs, but now I'm doing this. So many of the artists that we have can say, music saved my life.
Right.
But you have that outlet. So you can take that outlet away.
No, that's right. I think that's like how it was like for me growing up. And like you said, like in my house, we used to have the mic hang over the fan. When we're recording, we be in there, chin deep and everything like that. But it sounded like, we had all the Negroes in the house, whatever. But it was like my parents was like, they felt us doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Then you going out in the streets and whatnot.
Right, like all the hood niggas was there, you know what I'm saying? So we all there making music, chilling,
but you had that medium to go through. Right. And it was constructive, and it was something you guys could build off of if you chose to do so. Right. I'm not trying to make everybody the next concert pianist. I just want to give somebody an opportunity to say, hey, instead of going through the negative stuff, try this. If you like it, cool. If you don't, at least you have something to use to help you get through this patch in life. Yeah, it's something that you can do to just say, hey, I'm a little upset right now. Let me play some music to kind of get me through this mood. Or, man, I got this dope idea in my mind. Let me collaborate with somebody. It's not something to just need that. It's something that can be used for the mental as well as for the spiritual. So, yeah. Hey, Miss Anita. Hey, Maria. Hey, Mom. Landon Eatmon, by the way. Risen King. Definitely go download it.
How much time we got left?
Enough on the time? Yeah. It's almost over. It's just 15 seconds. But we have commercials.
Yes, it does, Julio. Yes, it does.
Woo!
Action 1 Inspired Actor. You're tuned into the all-new Action 1 Network. Turn up your volume.
Hey, back in this thing. A1 Live. Brother Atum Bra from the award-winning Melanated and Illuminated. You know what I'm saying? Here doing my thing with Sister Ebony from Musically Inclined. September 29th, there's an event going on at the Lincoln Park Community Center. And that's the Lincoln Park Community Center is at 979 Greenshaw Street. It's in Houston, Texas. It's going to be going down from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. They're going to have gospel, classical hip-hop, and R&B. It's going down. It's a $15 entry. So, Sister Ebony. Oh, go ahead. No, that's what I'm saying.
For the first 50 people who go to www.2018gcmf.org, you actually get in the early bird special for $10. So the first 50 people who go cop those tickets now, you only get it for $10. After that, you got to do $15.
Hey, most definitely. Joey, we definitely have to make sure that we put that up on the Action 1 Facebook page. Support that.
Very nice.
Hey, man. Can't win to save money, man. First 50 people, man, go on and get in.
Yes.
So, how did this music fest come together?
Well, this festival was really kind of an extension of what the company is already trying to do. It's just get musical exposure out there. And what I noticed, I know she's probably not watching because it's her birthday today, but a very close friend of mine, Brittany Michelle Taylor. I'm calling her whole name
Yeah,
now.
Brittany Taylor, what up?
Yes, happy birthday, love.
Happy birthday.
But she was a dear friend of mine. We both went to Carver High School, but she ended up going to HSPBA after a while, and we met back up at TSU in the music department. Now, if you see her outside of our neighborhood, if you see her outside of everything that she came from, you would not know that she's connected to Acres Home, because Acres Home, I love us, but we kind of country. We are.
Shout out to the Fofo.
Yes, the horseback riders. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But you would never know because of her demeanor. Like mine, we have a tendency to kind of go into professional mode when we're around others. And she's a beautiful, phenomenal soprano opera singer. And she actually just finished her master's, but I wanted people to see that there is more to music than just hip hop and R&B. Right. And Brittany and myself and my husband are the main poster children for that, because my husband, he grew up in Acres Home. Literally, he grew up in the same zip code as I did. We just didn't run into each other until about a couple of years ago. Yeah. But he is not what you would expect from Acres Home. You would expect something totally different, but he has a rock, gospel, CCM, Christian feel to him. And when people say, "Where are you from?" Acres Home. Really? Me, like, I'm all over the spectrum. I ain't even gonna go into myself. But I wanted to show that we don't have to live up to the stereotype that's been put on us. Right. So
well, and this gets back into us really knowing our history. You know, right, because you know, I used to get time from my boy, because I always like classical music. Yeah, because I always was down with it. And it's interesting. Like when you really start digging into the history of music, and you see how a lot of it connect back to Africa. You know what I'm saying? And when you see that how in different periods of time, how that were melanated people that taught those that are non-melanated, the concept of music, and even how, I always compare it to like churches. I'm not the biggest churchgoer myself, but I've been to a variety of churches, in all different religions, denominations, and everything else like that. And one thing, I can say, especially like on the Christian side, don't nobody do like the black church. Like just from a purely musical stand, take everything else away, but like just music to music, and I'm talking about like just regular people that work regular jobs, like none of these people in the black church are professional musicians. You would never know.
Like before Facebook got into the choir rehearsal, and you start putting two and two together. Hey, so and so actually played, but I just saw him work as a construction worker. Right. He throw down on the bass. All right. You never knew. Right. But it's that, once again, it falls back on that whole exposure. Because if we don't know, I just visited my uncle today. True story. I just visited my uncle today, and he actually told me that a whole side of my mother's family were actually musicians. Mainly the women, mostly played piano, and I had no idea that this part of my life was actually inbred. I had musical people on both sides of my family, as well as teachers, and I just thought, oh, well, I'm going to be a music teacher when I get older. I thought that was of my own volition. Turns out it's in my heritage. Right. But we never know. So hopefully the purpose of this, it will, first of all, put a spotlight on Acres Home to let you all know, to let the whole world know that there's more to us than our horses. Right. There's more to us than
tipping on fofo.
Right. We can do a little bit more than that. But also to make sure that our own neighborhood knows. Like, the vast majority of Acres Home is 86% African Americans in this neighborhood, if I remember correctly. And you would be surprised to know what all we can do. I mean, if I could love on us for a little bit, black people are amazing. So and sometimes we amaze our own selves. It's like, oh, I didn't know we could do that. Awesome. So this is an opportunity for us to get to know ourselves, as well as to show the world that, hey, we in there, and we have amazing talents, and we have amazing feats that we can do. So with these 3 categories, that's just the start. But we do plan on incorporating more genres as we get more traction with this, as well as the visual arts component as well. So if I could speak on that for just
of course. Well, before I get to that, you all are taking submissions from the community for artists. So can you talk on that for?
So because this is our first one, it is first come first serve. But I actually have to alert the media now. As of right now, our gospel and not our hip hop section yet. We have 2 more slots available for our hip hop section that are up for grabs. But as of right now, I do believe that our gospel section is completely full. And we didn't start doing paid advertising until this month. We started doing grassroots advertising in the month of June. And before June let out, we ended up going through the entire gospel bracket. So now we're looking for classical musicians, school choirs, university choirs, things of that nature, who would want to participate, who have roots in Acres-Home. They don't necessarily have to have roots, but if you are connected to Acres-Home, that would be a great plus.
All right, and how can they submit their music to you?
So there's 2 ways that you can submit your music. You can either go to the website itself and go under register your act here. It's on the very first page. Or you can submit your links to me directly at, all one word, musicallyinclined@outlook.com. If you do either of those 2, I will directly get your music. I'll send you screener questions to see if you actually meet the demographic of what we're trying to do, because it is kid friendly, so it has to be for the kids.
Right. What's up?
It's got to be for the kids.
You want to grow for artists? That make music for some families.
There you go. So, just send it to me, and once you make those arrangements, and once we screen your music and things of that nature, we'll send you through the process of actually having you booked as an artist for this event.
Okay. Well, as you missed it, we're talking about the Garden City Music Fest. Is going down September 29th, the Lincoln Park Community Center, from 1 p.m. to 4. For more information, to submit music, go to www.2018gcmf.org.
Yes, sir.
And you know what I'm saying, get your music in, get your tickets early.
Yes.
First 50 people getting them for $10.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead and get it. And so in addition to the music fest, also got a silent art auction going on.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
So, like I said, the entire purpose is to shine a light on the creative arts in Acres-Home. So we wanted to make sure that we opened up this opportunity to the visual artists as well as the performing artists. So we're looking for high school and middle school students that go to any of the schools in the Acres-Home community. Now, this one is more exclusive. But any students who live in the Acres-Home community, any student in the middle school or high school age range who wants to submit their work, they can submit it to the same websites and the same email that I just listed off. And what we're doing, we're partnering with whatever school they're going to along with themselves. So, so whatever money they make off the silent auction, the student who created the art gets 75% of the funds, and then 25% goes to the school. So that we get none of that. That is purely for the artists themselves, because we want to encourage them to pursue this as a career and see that it is a viable career to be a visual artist as well as it is a performing artist.
Peace to that. Yeah, man, for anybody checking us out on Facebook Live, we got the actual website up on the screen. You know, this is why we need for you all to support and subscribe to us and donate. You know what I'm saying? That way, you know, we can get Joy a bigger TV, bigger projector.
Yes.
You know, also, you know, so I can get some AC in the studio.
Now, there is a small disparity if you are looking on Facebook Live. The time starts at 10 a.m., but it's actually 1 p.m. That's something I'm going to go update now. I thought I updated it before, but I'm going to update that now. 1 p.m.
Sister all talent trying to do it all. It's gonna be a wonderful event. It seems like, you know, with a lot of love, and it's definitely I love that it's geared towards the youth.
Yes.
Because that's one of our main missions here at Action One is to inspire action for the next generation.
Right.
And as you see, a lot of the different works and things we do in the community, I like to have fun talking with people on Facebook and doing things like that. But I truly believe that the work and the solution is with the next generation.
Right.
I get how we are the ones that have to put things forward, but
eventually they're going to be the ones to carry it out.
Absolutely, and we have to be the ones to expose them to a lot of these different things to show, to expose them to understanding that if you want to be a musician, like you really need to break down, the different levels, the beat and everything else like that.
And what I would love to do, if you would have me, I would love to come back and actually explain that there is more to a musician than just making beats.
There we go.
I actually did a career day. Thank you to Dr. Paul Spikes for putting me onto the school, but I did a career day with a school in Aldine, and some students didn't even realize that you could do something besides playing for a symphony or just being a star on the radio. And when I showed them, there's several different jobs that you can do. But because we're not exposed to it, word of the day exposure.
Right, most definitely. In a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. But because they're not exposed to it, they're not thinking about it. So if I could, I would love to come back and kind of share some of those ideas in schools and just jobs that you can do as a musician. Like if you don't want to make beats, you don't just have to be a musician that makes beats. You can do a ton of other things.
Right. Most definitely. You go tracker, everything.
Oh yeah.
Drake can use you. I don't want to get in trouble.
No.
So we just get started. So I don't want the Drake stage coming from me. I think I got something against light skinned people. So.
Oh Lord.
All right. That's it. I think that means that it's time for a break. Oh man, you know what I'm saying? We finna get into this last song. This Joy, man. What's the name of this artist? Joy always be high and I always throw on when she don't be jump on.
So good evening. We have another artist that's being featured on the GCMF, the Garden City Music Festival, and his name is Jay Dabney. But
Shout out to Jay Dabney.
AKA Trinity. But this artist is actually one of the artists you were talking about many jobs. He produces, he raps, he does a whole bunch of different stuff. And this is one of the artists he works with named Quinn, his name now is Urgency. And this one right here was like Hood Hot. Like,
come on.
Yeah, I know. I was just letting you know.
I love that. I love that.
This one right here, if you know Urgency or Quinn, when you see him, he eats mites.
Yeah.
He eats mites. So this is just a cameo by Jay Dabney, who's in the music festival, on one of the people he collaborated with, named Urgency. What God Can Do. This what this song is.
What's good?
Turn up for Jesus.
Yes.
That's right there. Dragon energy. Always. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, dragon energy.
Always.
Turn up for the Lord.
I can't play with him.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. You want to see yourself do right.
I mean,
hey, man, I'm working.
Don't like that sometimes.
I'm working. I'm working. You know what I'm saying? The Lord's not through with me yet.
That sounds so crazy. All right, so here it is, you guys. Here it is. Urgency, also Queen Nichols. What God Can Do.
Turn up.
How long is this?
It's like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Watch your foot.
Freedom.
I need that.
to the change, the way they separate with their range. And the way I ain't leaving the same. So many thoughts into the brain, some flex of fame, but I know Jesus.
So what? Oh, yeah.
All the games, so no need to walk down memory lanes unless I'm giving my testimony to show you where I came. I know, so we'd rather keep you falling simple and plain, but anyway, I ain't leaving the same. I ain't the train. Remember me, you probably even won't, because the things that I used to do, I don't. A lot of people anticipating and waiting for me to lose patience, but they feeling vacant because I'm wrong. Following God promises. He would never leave me nor forsake me. Satan always try to tell me I hate it. You don't know the truth. Another way. Listen on the life. There's only one way to get to the point.
I don't play. That's the one thing I got that I don't play it.
Yes, I'm changed. I ain't playing this crazy.
Yeah, I did that. And then people can teach you. If they teach you something, that's what it is.
You got it.
No, you got this, bro.
I know.
My relationship with God is at the best. We saved by the blood of the Lamb. Walking down the street with a loaded pistol, I need a chain, watching my back from any stranger. My life is danger. You straight up running from loud. I felt I had to lie to get my point across. That's why I'm all across the town. Roll with a back. Nothing but terrorizing the streets and beefing. Gotta kick out of women, not to send the drugs out the back door. Being the biggest bird, I'm a black hero. Recognize something had to change. I'm in the backseat of another police car, shouting the same chain. Something gotta be real, I felt my heart swell. I'm tired of these streets, I'm tired of this world, I'm tired of this life. I feel like what? I feel right. Cause I'm with Christ. This is life. Everybody look at my change like, yeah, right. We gon' backslide, we gon' call it tail life. But I ain't even going backwards. Unless behind the cross I'm picking up and filing after. My Jesus did say he gon' try to give me plenty reasons, resources to fill the rapture. But I'm rebuking the demon.
Especially my today.
The colorful titties in the building.
I should have worn a savage. I should have worn a savage tiger shirt.
The girl watches mommy do what drugs, so when mommy need a run, she feel the urge to get the hug. Then mommy was just getting, but mommy had a needle, so when she was in her arms, she was dead within minutes. And mommy was in the kitchen, so hot she forgot about the Christmas. She's staying at the wild distribution.
You should do the blue stuff. It's
I'm sitting in the prayer, sweet rest.
like we
And
do.
they
We
say
eat
the night
blue.
moves on. Once you face the tragedy, you know they too wrong. Like what they talking about. I'm still at the stage. I'm trying to make it out. I want to turn this page. It's crazy, huh? You all shook with us.
See, this is what we need for actual experience.
I know that's what I'm saying.
And you need to send me some of that footage so I can then send it to him. We need to put it on the camera. Put it in the drive, do something so I can get. I don't have damn video and it gets to it from Dragon.
Yes.
30 seconds. Look at that little roly poly. Every time I see her, I just be like, hey, thank you. Little roly poly. Yeah, that's why I say doing a cameo. See her little roly poly over here. All right. Lights on. Oh, amen. Don't worry about it. We got it.
Action 1, doing it for the culture.
Action 1, inspiring next.
You tuned into the all-new Action 1 network. Turn up your volume.
Yeah. Man. Hope y'all enjoyed, man. We had another powerful episode of A1 Live. We just earned us a new friend. You know, just what people don't know, you know what I'm saying? Once you come up to the studio, you know what I'm saying, you become family.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we definitely want to make sure that we have you back on, you know, before the festival again.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Anytime that you have something going on,
Okay.
or anytime you just want to come up here and chill, chop it up.
Well, I've been told I like to talk, so just don't open me up for that.
That's why we're on here.
But to say, look, hey, you know why I'm here. That's why we here. You know, I say, don't let Joy hear you there. When Joy put you to work, man. Put you to work. That's how I got it, man. I ain't supposed to be no host. Put you to work. But nice. It's all love, man. Before we get out of here, man, you got anybody? I know you've been having people checking you out on the live feed. You got anybody you want to shout out? Shout them out, man.
Thank you to everybody who has been on the live feed, who came on and off. Thank you, Mom, Miss Anita Louise Bell. Thank you so much for watching and being my biggest fan as always. Thank you to all of the participants of the festival. For those who stuck their neck out and said, hey, we're going to rock with you on this, thank you guys so much. I will work my hardest to make sure that you guys get the exposure that you need. Thank you to the future sponsors that are out there who are wanting to speak it into existence. Yes, Lord. To the future sponsors who want to partner with us to help put this production on. Thank you all so much for being out there, watching, peeping, seeing if it's worth your time. I promise you it is. My husband. Always a big support. My fam, my friends.
Who did the website?
Wix.com and me.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful website.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of this process is self-ran. The promotion, the flyers, it's stuff I kind of low-key taught myself on a need-to-know basis. I needed to know how to make this, so I learned how to do it and put it out there. So the team is coming prayerfully, but at the moment, it's thank you to the family who's been putting up with me losing my mind over this and supporting me and helping me get through this portion. If you want to be a vendor, we're looking for vendors. Anybody who has goods to be a part of, they can hit us up. If you want to be a sponsor, hit us up. If you want to be a performer, we're looking for classical musicians and 2 more hip-hop artists. So those slots are very, very fleeting. Get it in while you can if you're a hip-hop artist and you got that fire. But for classical artists, we're looking for you. I think that's everything. I'm sure.
Give people how they can contact you and also how they can follow Musically Inclined.
So, for those who want to get in contact with me, you can reach me at all one word, musicallyinclined@outlook.com. You can also hit us up on our Facebook page through the personal message, and I'm very good at responding to that. For those who are interested in working exclusively with the festival, you can go through Garden City Music Festival on Facebook. Everything can be found through @GCMF 2018. That's our Facebook, our Twitter, and our Instagram. So once you get all of that, you can also reach us at our website at www.2018gcmf.org, and that'll give you a link to everything: our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, SoundCloud, YouTube, all of that.
Yeah, doing it. Yeah. The Garden City Music Fest, September 29th, going down, Lincoln Park Community Center, 1 p.m. to 4. Get your tickets early. First 50 people get it at $10.
Yes.
You're going to save money. www.2018gcmf.org. Any artist that's interested in performing, any classical artists, you can definitely go to the website. They have a place for you to register, or you can email all one word, musicallyinclined@outlook.com.
Yes, sir.
Sister Ebony, man, we appreciate you coming through.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you sharing your gifts with the world. I appreciate you, engaging and inspiring the next generation.
Thank you.
We want to make sure that we, like I said, keep supporting our people that's out in the community that's doing this.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to make sure that I make a personal contribution to the festival for you.
Thank you,
You know what I'm
so
saying?
much.
So we
Thank
can
you.
get that on and rolling. Sister Joy, man, before we get out of here, you got anything you want to say? I think she's working.
Have a good evening.
Yes.
It's been fun.
Yes.
Always. I'm loving the exposure. Exposure.
Yes.
Exposure. Because that is education.
Yes.
Exposure. Mm-hmm. So let's get exposed. Let's hit up this GMCF. I said GCMF, excuse me, Garden City Music Festival. And let's just get exposed. Yes. Let's do some things we're not used to doing.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, man. You know, as y'all know, man, it's your brother Atum Rye. You check me out on Facebook, Atum Rye. You can check us out on Facebook, also at Action One Media Group. Follow me at Melanated and Illuminated. Make sure that y'all go to weareA1.com, subscribe, and we just gonna keep inspiring action. We're gonna keep doing it for the culture. And you know, like a famous poet once said, Puffy is cool, but Wu-Tang's for the baby. Hey. Dragon Energy, man. Yeah. They can't control us. Action One, inspiring nature. Peace, brother.
I'm about to play, because I was about to get real confused.
Hey, man, I gave a real inspirational quote yesterday, so today I could use two days of inspiration.
That worked.
Oh my God.